This is an emergency called public meeting of the Henry County Board of Commissioners for 4:30 p.m. Thursday, December 30th, 2010. Notice of this meeting was given to our legal organ, the Henry Daily Herald, verbally and via email. The reason for the emergency called meeting is to discuss the suspension of an alcohol license for Backwoods Bar and Grill. The board suspended the license at their regular meeting on December 20th, 2010. At this time, I would like to call the meeting to order and ask for an acceptance of the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Stamey, second by Mr. Roark. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. At this time, we're going to have a discussion regarding the alcohol license suspension for Backwoods Bar and Grill.
Good afternoon, members of the board. As the chairman has stated, on December 20th, an alcohol license suspension was issued by this board concerning Backwoods Bar and Grill. On today's date, during a 1:30 p.m. conference call with Judge Wade Crumbly in consideration of a motion for restraining order filed by Josh Mccullough, the court lifted that suspension and specifically stated in the restraining order that the county should, if it wants to suspend the license, specify in greater detail the public health, safety, and welfare issue at stake with respect to the suspension of this license. So, given that on December 20th we had members of the police department, notably the chief of police and Holly Perry, here discussing this issue with you. They are here again to reiterate those things if the board so chooses to hear that again. And I have prepared a resolution specifying the emergency nature of this request to suspend the license and to deny the 2011 pending application. So if you want to come up, Officer Perry. You have a resolution before you, Madam Chairman, that's largely based upon the information provided at the previous meeting. And if the chair would like to read that into the record and or hear Ms. Perry, whatever your pleasure is, we will certainly oblige.
If it pleases the board, I'll read the resolution into the record, and then if you have any questions, we will entertain those at that time. This is a resolution of the Henry County Board of Commissioners suspending the 2010 alcohol license issued to Joshua Mccullough and denying the pending application for 2011. Whereas Henry County Board of Commissioners is authorized to issue, suspend, or revoke alcohol licenses within the parameter of Georgia law and Henry County Ordinance Number 3-14-50 et sec. And whereas Joshua Mccullough is the holder of an alcohol license issued by Henry County pursuant to such legal authority for property located at 2220 Jodico Road, McDonough, Georgia, known as Backwoods Bar and Grill, Backwoods, and whereas the Henry County Police Department has received more complaints concerning illegal gambling and drug activities occurring at Backwoods than any other bar establishment operating in Henry County, and whereas the Henry County Police Department has been actively investigating criminal, illegal drug activity occurring at Backwoods for over the past 5 years, and whereas such criminal activity includes but is not limited to public fighting, drunkenness, drug violations to include illegal drug sales and illegal drug possession, unlicensed adult entertainment activities, underage drinking, and illegal under-the-bar sales of alcohol after normal hours of operation. And whereas over the course of the past 5 years, Henry County Police and other state agencies have routinely conducted undercover investigations at Backwoods for the purpose of uncovering the numerous illegal drug and alcohol-related criminal activities occurring therein. And whereas on or about October 2010, the most recent criminal investigation ensued concerning illegal drug activities to include drug trafficking occurring at Backwoods and other locations and involving Joshua Mccullough. And whereas on or about December 8, 2010, a criminal search warrant was executed by the Henry County Police Department at Backwoods, whereupon narcotics officers discovered marijuana and cocaine located in a safe that, according to Joshua Mccullough, is owned by him and is accessible only to him. And whereas, in addition to the narcotics found at Backwoods, an Isuzu box truck owned by and registered by Joshua McCullough's home address of 445 Hood Road was found on the premises of Backwoods. The contents of this Isuzu box contained equipment for marijuana cultivation. This same truck has been identified at a marijuana cultivation location on Hemp Hill Road, where approximately 123 plants were discovered by Henry County Police. And whereas a current employee of Joshua Mccullough, Ira Butler, has been arrested and charged with cultivating marijuana at a location directly across the street from Joshua McCullough's residence located at Hood Road. And whereas photographs of other marijuana cultivation locations were found on the premises of Backwoods, and whereas a separate criminal warrant was executed on December 8, 2010 for Joshua McCullough's Hood Road residence, whereupon illegal narcotics and a stolen weapon was located therein, and whereas the Board of Commissioners is charged with ensuring the public health, safety, morals, and welfare of the citizens of Henry County, and whereas on December 8, 2010, Joshua Mccullough was arrested and currently faces numerous criminal charges, including cocaine possession and theft by receiving a stolen gun. Now, therefore, be it resolved as follows. Based upon the information provided by law enforcement, the Board finds that the illegal, criminal, and drug activity occurring at Backwoods is inimical to public health, safety, morals, and welfare of the citizens of Henry County, and based upon the information provided by law enforcement, the Board finds that an emergency situation exists and that the public welfare will be jeopardized if Josh Mccullough continues operating with an alcohol license issued by Henry County. And Henry County ordinance deems any person who is not of good moral character and reputation in the county in which he resides ineligible to hold an alcohol license. Based upon the information provided by the Henry County Police Department, Joshua Mccullough is of insufficient moral character and reputation to hold such a license, and Henry County ordinance deems a person unfit to hold an alcohol license where such person has conducted business in such a manner as to necessitate unusual police observation and inspection in order to prevent violations of applicable laws or regulations. Based upon the information provided by the Henry County Police Department, the operations at Backwoods have caused unusual police observation and investigation concerning violations of numerous criminal and drug laws. Out of public necessity and emergency, the 2010 alcohol license issued to Josh Mccullough is hereby suspended. The 2011 alcohol application is hereby denied. It is so resolved this, look at the date, this 30th day of December 2010. Was there anything that we left out that you would like to add?
No, ma'am. Just overall, like I said, I think some people would assume that, maybe you would find at a bar, you would find people there with some kind of narcotics. And in this case, it was specifically in the safe of the business. It was not located on the patrons there. And that is something that is of concern. You spoke of the photographs that were found on an external hard drive that was actually at Backwoods. On those photographs were personal photos of the Mccullough family. Intermingled in between those were a total of 360 photographs of a marijuana grow that was discovered at a separate residence on Jodico Road. Also at Mr. Mccullough's residence was some misdemeanor marijuana was located, as you said, also a stolen gun. There was also a DVD that was found there that is titled How to Grow Indoor Marijuana Easily. There were also some bags that were used for packaging marijuana that had markings on them that were consistent with the strains of marijuana that were found at other locations. As I said before, there were a total of 7 individuals that have worked for Josh Mccullough, past or present, through Backwoods Bar and Grill and another company called Preferred Amusements that were arrested as a result of this investigation.
City Board member have a question on this? All right, if not, I believe that we have someone here who wishes to speak on behalf of the owner of the establishment. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
If you could step to the podium, please, and state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Bill Moody, and I'm an attorney for Mr. McCullough as far as the civil actions are concerned. And as the board has been made aware, there was a restraining order signed this afternoon restraining any enforcement of the issues or the actions taken by the board on December, I guess, the 20th or the 19th at those last 2 meetings. And so my understanding today is that you are here to find that this is an emergency situation, which was not found, I guess, on the 19th or the 20th. And I have read your resolution, and my understanding of I also viewed the tape of the meeting on, I guess, the 19th or the 20th, in which Sergeant, I believe, Perry explained the details of the situation you've gone over today and incorporated into your resolution. And the major basis of that conversation or that recitation to you people was that for 5 years the county has sent undercover officers into Backwoods Bar and Grill in an attempt to find illegal activities. And my understanding of the tape, and you people were here, so I'm certain y'all remember, but was that there were no findings of illegal activity in Backwoods during those 5 years of investigation. They blamed it on the fact that the undercover agents were, in fact, discovered too early to uncover activities, so they must have stopped doing illegal activities. I want the board to be aware that the undercover agents have, in fact, visited Backwoods, and when discovered, Backwoods has a policy they card, they ID. In 5 years, they have not been cited. They have had calls to the police department made by Backwoods if there were fights, just like every other bar in the county. If there were problems, they've got the non-emergency number for the sheriff's department, the police department. They hire people to keep this stuff out. The only sale of drugs I'm aware of in the Backwoods was one which was reported to management, not Mr. McCullough, I don't believe, by customers at the bar, that there was someone trying to sell drugs in the restroom. Management and the security immediately went back and confronted the 2 people or the gentleman that was doing this, or that they suspected, and in the process of calling the police, the individual identified himself as an undercover police officer who was the individual trying to sell the drugs. My point in talking to you people is to tell you that you need an emergency. There needs to be harm to the county. I ask you to ask yourselves, what harm has the county suffered because of Backwoods Bar and Grill or Josh McCullough? These are all allegations at this point. He's been convicted of nothing. On the 19th and the 20th, y'all suspended a license, which virtually is a kiss of death to this business, and we've got the busiest weekend, of the year coming up. You suspended the license with no notice to Mr. McCullough, no opportunity for him to be heard, and which I believe is in violation of not only the county ordinances, but your power is derived from the commissioner, who himself has to give notice and afford an opportunity for hearing. What we are asking, and what I would like to call to your attention is, I'd like you to ask yourselves exactly what harm will come to the county if you wait until this January 18th hearing that y'all have set. I would also like to let you know that we have a hearing scheduled for next Tuesday, I believe at 1:30 in front of Judge Crumbly. So you've got 2 hearings scheduled, and what you're here today for and what this resolution finds is that there is an emergency that will affect the health, the welfare, the safety of the citizens of this county. And I've read your resolution. I see absolutely nothing affecting the welfare, the citizens of this county, that would create an emergency to once again call a meeting on 15, 20 minutes notice, whatever it is, and once again circumvent the restraining order that has been put in place on your last action by trying to declare this an emergency. I ask you to, when you talk about this, before you sign this, define the emergency. They've been in business 5 years. When you set up...
Your time has expired.
All right. May I have 2 minutes, Mr. Chairman?
That will be at the wishes of the board. If anyone would like to make a motion to extend an additional 2 minutes, I'll entertain the motion.
I would make a motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. In closing, the first hearing that was held without notice, and now this one without notice, in 5 years, I would ask you to look at the records, see what Backwoods has been cited with, and compare that with what other bars or restaurants have been cited with. You're going to find that this is not an emergency to the people of Henry County. There is no harm to this county by not signing this resolution, by allowing the restraining order, and even let's wait till January the 18th at the hearing and let Josh present evidence and the police department present evidence to you people, and then let's make a decision. You are forming an opinion in your discretion, and I am asking you and imploring you, in forming an opinion, in exercising your discretion, hear all the facts before you form an opinion based on simply one side that I think you're going to find a lot of inaccuracies in, and I would appreciate it if y'all would reconsider. Thank you.
Ms. Wiley, did you have anything else you'd like to add?
Just a couple of additional items. As Mr. Moody stated, there will be an interlocutory hearing, an injunctive hearing held on Tuesday at 1:30 before Judge Crumbly. And I'm assuming at that time, Mr. Moody will raise the issue. If this resolution is passed, the judge can consider it then. The 2010 license expires tomorrow night, midnight tomorrow night. And so, Your Honors, based upon the evidence you have before you, I would ask that the board approve the resolution that is before you, suspending, revoking the 2010 license, which will effectively expire tomorrow night by operation of law, and to deny the 2011 application until such time as Mr. Mccullough and or his representatives come before you on the 18th for a full hearing on the merits. I believe that all the actions the board has been asked to take are appropriate and in accordance with Georgia law, and then the board can make a motion to approve the resolution.
Does any board member have a question for Ms. Wiley?
I do, Madam Chair.
Mr. Holder?
Just simply a question. Currently, his license will expire tomorrow night at midnight.
Yes, sir, the 2010.
Okay, and has he made application for a 2011
Yes,
license?
sir, he has.
Okay. Is he currently operating?
It's important to note that the alcohol revocation did not suspend his business license, so I think he has been voluntarily shut down since the suspension on the 20th.
But he cannot, based on our actions on December the 20th, he cannot serve alcohol at this time. Is that correct, pending the hearing?
Right. The 20th, the action on the 20th was suspended today and lifted by the court. So I guess between now and he can go in between now and the time that the order was entered, and if you make this resolution tonight effective, then he can serve alcohol. So currently he can. This resolution will, again, suspend the license out of public necessity and emergency, and he will not be allowed to serve alcohol.
But the courts today overturned our temporary suspension. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. We had a telephone conference hearing, and it was a rather odd case procedurally. We were considering a complaint that had not been filed by Mr. McCullough, but we were having a hearing on an unfiled complaint, seeking to overturn that decision. After the telephone conference concluded, Mr. McCullough's attorney filed the complaint, which he had not filed, and I didn't know that it had not been filed before that time. He filed it and obtained an order from the judge. So it was a very unusual posture this case took today, procedurally, one that I've never seen.
So it's actually done backwards.
In my opinion, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Is that all your questions, Mr. Holder?
I think so.
Anyone else?
And if you want to, just to flesh out the contents of the telephone conference this afternoon for you, Commissioner Holder, the issue was notice before suspension of the alcohol license. And that was one of the points of contention, whether or not and to what extent Mr. McCullough was entitled to advance notice of the suspension. And you all know that the issue on the 20th came up very quickly, and we believe that the information provided on the 20th, which is memorialized in today's resolution, set forth emergency grounds and warranted the immediate suspension without notice. But the subsequent letter that went to Mr. McCullough did not outline those emergency conditions in greater detail. So I believe, to address the judge's concerns about what was not contained in the December 20th suspension letter, that this resolution cures that, and that we can reimpose the suspension based upon the grounds stated in the resolution.
What does the law basically say as far as notice of suspension?
In my opinion, the law does not require advance notice of the suspension. It does require, prior to a permanent revocation, a full hearing.
But they could be suspended without notice.
And given the timing of this particular suspension, because we were so close to the end of the year where it was going to expire anyway, that just added a different layer. But that was through no doing of Henry County or the police department. The execution, the warrant, the evidence all occurred towards the end of the year. So those activities can be attributed to Mr. McCullough and not to the actions of the county as to the timing of the illegal drugs that were located on the premises.
Are there any additional questions? All right, if not, we have before us a resolution of the Henry County Board of Commissioners suspending the 2010 alcohol license issued to Joshua Mccullough and denying the pending application for 2011. And Mr. Roark, this lies in your district, and I'll look to you for a motion.
Move to approve the resolution as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Mr. Roark. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bowman. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
At this time, if there's no further business to come before this board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Roark, second by Mr. Bowman. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. We stand adjourned.